Noah's Ark. The great flood that changed the world forever. Imagine living in a world where violence, corruption, and evil had become part of everyday life. Thousands of years ago, according to the book of Genesis, humanity had turned away from God. People no longer cared about justice or kindness. Instead, greed, hatred, and violence filled the earth. Seeing how deeply the world had fallen into sin, God decided that it was time to cleanse the earth with a great flood. But among all the people living at that time, one man stood apart. His name was Noah. Noah was known as a righteous and faithful man. He trusted God and tried to live an honest life even when everyone around him chose a different path. Because of Noah's faithfulness, God gave him an extraordinary mission. God told Noah that a massive flood would soon cover the entire earth. Every living thing outside the ark would perish. To preserve life, Noah was instructed to build an enormous wooden ark unlike anything the world had ever seen. The task seemed impossible. Noah had never seen a flood of such magnitude. Building such a gigantic vessel would take years of hard work, and many people mocked him. They laughed at him and thought he had lost his mind. But Noah never stopped believing. Day after day, year after year, Noah and his family continued building the ark exactly as God had instructed. When the ark was finally completed, God commanded Noah to bring his family aboard. Noah entered the ark with his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. Then came one of the most remarkable moments in the story. Animals from every kind began arriving at the ark. Birds filled the skies, wild animals crossed the fields, and creatures of every size approached the great wooden ship. Noah welcomed them inside, ensuring that life would continue after the flood. Once everyone was safely inside, God shut the door of the ark. Soon dark clouds covered the sky. Rain began to fall. It rained not for 1 day or 1 week, but for 40 days and 40 nights. At the same time, underground springs burst open, causing water to rise from beneath the earth. The floodwaters continued rising until they covered mountains, forests, villages, and cities. Everything outside the ark disappeared beneath the water. But inside the ark, Noah, his family, and the animals remained safe. For many months, the ark floated across the endless waters. Finally, the rain stopped. Slowly, the floodwaters began to recede. One day, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. But Noah still needed to know whether the land was dry enough to leave. He first sent out a raven. Later, he released a dove. The dove returned because it could not find a place to rest. Several days later, Noah sent the dove out again. This time, it returned carrying a freshly picked olive leaf in its beak. Noah knew that the floodwaters had finally begun to disappear and that trees were growing once again. After waiting a little longer, Noah released the dove one final time. The dove never returned. It had found a new home. At last, God told Noah that it was time to leave the ark. Noah, his family, and every animal stepped onto dry ground. The world was beginning again. The first thing Noah did was build an altar to thank God for protecting them through the flood. God accepted Noah's offering and made an everlasting covenant with humanity. As a sign of this promise, God placed a beautiful rainbow in the sky. The rainbow became a symbol of God's promise that he would never again destroy the whole earth with a flood. The story of Noah's Ark is more than a story about a great flood.